So these are some more examples of 8-3, and I'm going to go through it with the steps and make sure we clear up hopefully any questions you might have. So 22 is the first one I'm going to look at out of the book, and it says 3x minus 2 divided by x plus 2 plus 2x divided by 4x minus 1. So if we follow the step, it says to factor the denominators. Well, when I go to x plus 2, I can't factor that. So that would just be there as x plus 2. And 4x minus 1, there's also not an x squared, and there's no greatest common factor, so that would stay the same as 4x minus 1. So that would be step 1. Step 2 says to add subtract fractions, we must have a common denominator. So remember, to do that, you take each factor, and you take the highest amount that occurs in any one of the denominators. Well, I have an x plus 2 here, I have 1 here, and none here, so the most that I have is 1. So I need 1 in my denominator, 1x plus 2. And over here I have a 4x minus 1. I have 1 here and none on this side, so I need 1 4x minus 1. So that would be my common denominator, and so I'll write that twice. So that's my common denominator. Step 3 says that we're going to rewrite the expression with the least common denominator. So we have to multiply the numerator, which is the top term, and the denominators by the missing factors. So to do that, we look at this and say, well, we have an x plus 2, but we need an x plus 2 and a 4x minus 1, so the factor I'm missing is 4x minus 1. So I have to take that 3x plus 2, or 3x minus 2, from here, and I have to multiply it by the missing factor, which is 4x minus 1. Then on this side, I have a 4x minus 1, so I have that one, but I'm missing the x plus 2, so I have to take the 2x from my original numerator and multiply it by 4x minus 1. So now that we've rewritten it with the least common denominator, we're going to add or subtract the numerators. So we have to simplify these numerators. So I'm going to forget about the denominator because that's not going to change. We know what we're going to end up with this denominator is x plus 2 and 4x minus 1. So I have to FOIL this, or claw it. So we get 12x squared. Then we have a negative 3x and a negative 8x, so a negative 11x. Plus 2, plus distribute this, and we get 8x squared minus 2x. And so now we're going to continue to simplify this, combine our like terms. So we have 12x squared plus 8x squared is 20x squared. And we have 11x, negative 11 minus 2 would be a negative 13x plus 2. Now you should always, now that we've got this, before I put that denominator in there, the last thing we want to do is to simplify, so we should factor this if possible. So if I was to try and factor that, that would be using the x method 40 and negative 13. So that would be negative 8 and negative 5. So this factors into, we're going to have to build the box. So we get 20x squared and 2, and then our negative 8x and negative 5x. And so we get the greatest common factor here would be 4x. Greatest common factor here would be 1. First box is negative, so 4x minus 1. And then this way we would get 5x and 2, and that would be a negative, so 5x minus 2. Again, it's good to always check this to make sure that you got it right, so that would be 20x squared, that checks, positive 2, that checks, and a negative 8 and a negative 5 give me the negative 13, so I know I've got it right. Now I'll put that denominator back in there, x plus 2 and 4x minus 1. And so the last thing we do is factor and reduce if possible. And so in this case, we have a 4x minus 1 on the top and bottom. So we end up with 5x minus 2 divided by x plus 2 for our final answer. So again, if you go through step by step, it just takes you through the problem. So let's try another one. So we'll do 26. 26 is a subtraction problem. So we get x over 2x plus 3 minus 2x plus 1 over 2x minus 3. So we factor the denominators. In this case, there is no greatest common factor. So can't factor that. 2x plus 3. Same thing occurs here, 2x minus 3. So we factor those. Find the least common denominator. Well, again, we have a 2x plus 3, none over here, so we need 1. And over here we have a 2x minus 3 and none on this side, so we need 1. So that's our common denominator. Now we're going to rewrite the expressions with this as our common denominator. Minus so now again, now that to write this, you have to multiply the numerator and denominators by the same thing. So we go back to our original. We have a 2x plus 3, so we have this one, but we're missing the 2x minus 3. So that's x times 2x minus 3. And here we have the 2x minus 3, but we're missing the 2x plus 3. So we have to take 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 3. Now we have to simplify this. Now this subtraction sign, it's up to you on which way you do this. I usually wait till after I've multiplied this, but you could have distributed that negative and made this negative 2x minus 1. You just don't take it to all the terms, just to the first parentheses. So I'm going to distribute this, and so I get 2x squared minus 3x minus, now I have to FOIL this, or claw it, so I get 4x squared, 6x plus 2x is 8x, and 1 times 3 is 3. And now, so again, I'm not going to put this denominator till the end because I already know what it's going to be. That doesn't change. So we've got subtraction, so I'm going to change it to addition and change all the signs. So we have 2x squared minus 4x squared is a negative 2x squared. And negative 3x plus a negative 8x is a negative 11x minus 3. Now, when you should always, again, we have to check and see if we can factor this to simplify it. So to simplify, we factor the numerators if possible and reduce. When you have a negative sign in front of your x squared, you don't want to try and factor that yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out a negative 1, and that changes all the signs. And now I can try the x method. 3 and 11, well, there are no factors of 3 that add up to give you 11. So it didn't, oh, wait a second, we need the 2 there. Sorry about that. So we pull out a negative 1, so we get 2. So that would be 6 and 11. But again, there are no factors of 6 that add up to 11. So again, you can't do that. So then I can just put it over 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 3. So in this case, it didn't help to pull out the negative sign, but you want to do that just in case you could have factored that. So that's the subtraction problem. Next, let's do 34. Two x over x squared minus 36 plus x plus 4 over x plus 6. All right? So again, we just follow our steps, factor the denominators. It's nice if you can recognize this is a difference of two squares, but you could use the x method, but it factors into x plus 6 and x minus 6. Cannot factor this, so it's x plus 6. Now we find our least common denominator. We need 1x plus 6. There's one here and one here, but remember you only take what's the highest in either one, so there's only 1 in either one. That's the highest amount. And we need 1x minus 6. So this one's going to be the same. Now we rewrite the expressions. So we go back to this one and we say, what do we have to multiply this by to get to this? Well, it's the same, so we're not missing anything. So that means our numerator stays the same. Over here, I have the x plus 6, but I'm missing the x minus 6. So now we're going to simplify the numerator. Well, there's nothing to do over here, so that's 2x. Plus, we're going to claw this one. So x squared. Minus 6x plus 4x is a minus 2x. Minus 24. And simplify that further, so we get x squared. The 2x and minus 2x cancel. Minus 24. You could try and factor this, but there are no factors of negative 24 that add up to 0, because it's, remember, a times c. A is 1, c is negative 24. There is no x value, so our b is 0. And then put the denominator in, and we're done. So there's nothing to cancel. $36. 7x over x squared minus 5x plus x squared over x minus 5. So again, we're going to factor the denominators. I can pull an x out of this. Remember, you always check for greatest common factor first. Can't factor x minus 5. So my common denominator I need an x and I need an x minus 5. We have the x minus 5 there, so x times x minus 5. Alright, so again, now that we have a common denominator, we go back to our factored one. What do I have to multiply that? Well, it's the same, so that means my numerator stays the same. I have to multiply this by x, and so I get x cubed. So I'm multiplying this by x. So my new numerator is 7x plus x cubed. Once we get there, we should again try and factor that. So I can pull an x out of both of those. And I get 7 plus x squared over x times x minus 5. And now we cancel like factors. There's an x in both of those. And so my answer is 7 plus x squared, or x squared plus 7 doesn't make any difference. X minus 5. So that was, again, 36. Last one of those I'm going to do is 40. 40 says 6 over x squared plus 4x minus 32 minus x minus 5, x minus 4. So we got to factor this. Negative 32 and 4. So that would be negative 8 and positive 8 and negative 4. So x plus 8, x minus 4. Can't factor x minus 4. common denominator, I need 1x plus 4, or x plus 8. I have 1x minus 4 here and 1 there. Again, you need the highest, which would be 1, so x minus 4. So we got our common denominator. I'll rewrite this. So what do I have to multiply this by to get to this? Well, I have the x plus 8, I have the x minus 4, so it's just 1, and 6 times 1 is 6. X minus 4 to get to this, I have the x minus 4, I'm missing the x plus 8. So we've got it rewritten. Now we simplify. So the 6 isn't going to change. Minus, I'm going to put that in parentheses because I haven't moved the negative sign yet. So I'm going to claw this. X squared. 8x and negative 5x is 3x. And negative 5 times 8 is a negative 40. So now remember that negative sign is going to become positive, and we're going to change all these signs. Combine like terms, so I get negative x squared minus 3x plus 46. We got to try and factor this. Well, again, we don't want that negative sign in front, so I pull out a negative 1, x squared plus 3x minus 46. Try and factor that. Negative 46 and 3. The only factors of 46 are 1 and 46, and 2 and 23, and none of those add up to give me 3. And so I can't factor that. So now I just write my answer. And I'm done. I want to go through one simplifying a complex, and I'm actually going to do the one on the assignment. One of the ones on the assignment. So to simplify a complex fraction, let's take one. This is number 45, which is one on the assignment. 1 over 2x plus 2 over 3x divided by x minus 1 over x minus 3. So what you want to remember on these is you're going to simply simplify the numerator and denominator separately before you work with it. So I'm going to start here, and I go through my steps. I can't factor those, so it's just 2x and 3x. So I find the common denominator. Well, the first thing that I need 1, 2, I need 1, 3, and I need 1x. So my common denominator is going to be 6x. So I look here and I say, what do I have to multiply 2x by to get to 6x? Well, that would be 3, and 3 times 1 is 3. 3x to get to 6x would be 2, so I multiply this by 2, so I multiply the top by 2, so I get 4. And now I can add those. So I get 3 plus 4 is 7 over 6x. Divided by x minus 1 over x minus 3. Now to divide fractions, remember that means to multiply by the reciprocal of what I'm dividing by. So x minus 3 over x minus 1. Now you could have multiplied those out and distributed that, but there's really no reason to, because you want to factor to see if you can cancel anything anyway. In this case I can't, and so I've been done. So hopefully this helped you. Good luck on the assignment.